The Chronicle of Cain, the first times. I dream of the first times, the longest memory. I speak of the first times, the oldest father. I sing of the first times and the dawn of darkness. In Nod, where the light of paradise lit up the night sky and the tears of our parents wet the ground. Each of us, in our own way, set about to live and take sustenance from the land. And I, firstborn Cain, I, with sharp things, planted the dark seeds, wet them in the earth, tended them, watched them grow. And Abel, second-born Abel, tended the animals, aided their bloody births, fed them, watched them grow. I loved him, my brother. He was the brightest, the sweetest, the strongest. He was the first part of all my joy. Then one day our father said to us, Cain, Abel, to him above you must make a sacrifice, a gift of the first part of all you have. And I, firstborn Cain, I gathered the tender shoots, the brightest fruits, the sweetest grain. And Abel, second-born Abel, slaughtered the youngest, the strongest, the sweetest of his animals. On the altar of our father we laid our sacrifices, and lit the fire under them, and watched the smoke carry them up to the one above. The sacrifice of Abel, second-born, smelled sweet to the one above, and Abel was blessed. And I, firstborn Cain, I was struck from behind by a harsh word and a curse, for my sacrifice was unworthy. I looked at Abel's sacrifice, still smoking, the flesh, the blood. I cried, I held my eyes, I prayed in night and day. And when Father said the time for sacrifice has come again, and Abel led his youngest, his sweetest, his most beloved, to the sacrificial fire, I did not bring my youngest, my sweetest, for I knew the one above would not want them. And my brother, beloved Abel, said to me, Cain, you did not bring a sacrifice, a gift of the first part of your joy, to burn on the altar of the one above. I cried tears of love as I, with sharp things, sacrificed that which was the first part of my joy, my brother. And the blood of Abel covered the altar and smelled sweet as it burned. But my father said, Cursed are you, Cain, who killed your brother. As I was cast out, so shall you be. And he exiled me to wander in darkness, the land of Nod. I flew into the darkness, I saw no source of light, and I was afraid and alone. The coming of Lilith. I was alone in the darkness, and I grew hungry. I was alone in the darkness, and I grew cold. I was alone in the darkness, and I cried. Then there came to me a sweet voice, a honey voice, words of succor, words of surcease. A woman dark and lovely, with eyes that pierced the darkness, came to me. I know your story, Cain of Nod, she said, smiling. You are hungry, come, I have food. You are cold, come, I have clothes. You are sad, come, I have comfort. Who would comfort one so cursed as I? Who would clothe me? Who would feed me? I am your father's first wife, who disagreed with the one above, and gained freedom in the darkness. I am Lilith. Once I was cold, and there was no warmth for me. Once I was hungry, and there was no food for me. Once I was sad, and there was no comfort for me. She took me in, she fed me, she clothed me. In her arms I found comfort. I cried until blood trickled from my eyes, and she kissed them away. Lilith's magic. And I dwelt for a time in the house of Lilith, and asked her, out of the darkness, how did you build this place? How did you make clothes? How did you grow food? And Lilith smiled and said, unlike you, I am awake. I see the threads that spin all around you. I make that which I need out of power. Awaken me then, Lilith, I said. I have need for this power. Then I can make my own clothes, make my own food, make my own house. Worry creased Lilith's brow. I do not know what the awakening will do for you are truly cursed by your father. You could die. You could be forever changed. Cain said, even so, a life without power will not be worth living. I would die without your gifts. I will not live as your thrall. Lilith loved me, and I knew this. Lilith would do what I asked, though she did not wish it. And so Lilith, bright-eyed Lilith, awakened me. She cut herself with a knife, bled for me into a bowl. I drank deep. It was sweet. And then I fell into the abyss. I fell forever, falling into the deepest darkness.